Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.
Jagshur unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadandikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Zagrachatam Zagana Ragunatan Vidam Tam Sachivam Satvaitam Savatutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakan Vidamsa Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandhu Jagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Dhapta Ganshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Pyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this translation again, which is Bhagavad Gītā 8:13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada wrote a beautiful purport. First of all, let's look at this translation. Lord Krishna says, if one thinks of the personality of Godhead, while quitting one's body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So the impersonalist may very well think, okay, here yoga is described, and in previous verses as well, like a very nice, in the previous verse, the yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air on top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. So many of those who pursuing the Brahman, that is all the information they have got. They think this yoga practice, that is all in all. They don't understand much more. They don't certainly not understand about devotional service, what to speak of pure devotion service. So they might think, okay, so I fix myself in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om. And in this way, while leaving the body, I will go to the spiritual world. But they haven't read this Bhagavad Gītā verse very, very closely. It's not thinking of the impersonal Brahman, what Krishna says. Krishna says one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, Shyama Sundar, with standing in his Tribhanga form, with flute in hand, bluish complexion, yellow garments shining like lightning. And if that form is appealing to us, then a cowherd stick in his hand, a bugle, a buffalo horn in his belt, guncha earrings on his ears, a garland of forest flowers and leaf around his neck. So that is the meditation of those who want to go to the Goloka planet. Of course, we can also meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Narayan form. Four-handed Vishnu, bluish complexion, golden helmet, armlets, bracelets, a garland reaching almost down to his feet, golden ornaments holding a conch, a lotus, a chakra, and the club. That can also be some meditation, and that is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the result is not, the destination is not the same. If that is our meditation, then we reach the Vaikuntha planets, innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And if we want to reach the Golokas, the highest planets, then we have to meditate on that beautiful cowherd boy in Vrindavan, Krishna. Also, often people, they think Om is more important than the Hare Krishna mantra. But here Srila Prabhupada makes it clear. The sound of Hare Krishna contains the Om. That spiritual sound of the Hare Krishna mantra contains everything. It contains the Om. As much as Krishna contains within himself his effulgence and his expansion as Paramatma Supersoul. These are all features of Krishna. So the Om is certainly the impersonal sound. Srila Prabhupada calls it impersonal sound. I had recently discussed with someone who is quite strong on Brahman realization. He thinks Brahman realization is the highest realization. And so he's rejecting Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna and all of that. In fact, he has mentioned before that these are all manifestation of the material energy. Of course, he's very mistaken. That is very much leaning towards Mayavad philosophy. But people think like that. I had met an Indian gentleman, very pious man, and we discussed when Krishna comes down to this material world, like he did, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, for instance. Then he thought, when Krishna comes into this material world, he takes on a material body. But we, who are reading Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gītā, Bhagavatam, we know Krishna is not coming with a material body just because everybody else has a material body. But Krishna is God. He is a creator of everything. He's coming in his very self-same spiritual body. It looks like a material body, but it is not a material body. It's a fully spiritual body. It's inside what is outside and what is inside. Same spiritual substance. That's a spiritual body. So I explained to that gentleman, no, Krishna doesn't come. Yes, he accepted Krishna in the spiritual world. He has a spiritual body. But when he comes in this material world, he takes on a material body. No! He comes in this very self-same spiritual body to this material world. So, the next point Srila Prabhupada is making. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. Lord Chaitanya propagated this Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, Galau nasteva nasteva gatir anyataha. This is a process for this age. Why? Why is this chanting of Hare Krishna a process for this age? Some people who are attached to yoga say they cannot accept that. They said, no, Bhagavad Gītā is all about karma yoga or jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga. Well, they have never progressed further than perhaps the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gītā. It's not all on the same level. Some think that Bhagavad Gītā is all on the same level. They have read a bit of Bhagavad Gītā, but not studied the entire Gita. And they think it's all there. It's like a menu. Like we go into a restaurant, there's a menu, all prepared. We come with our plate, and we sometimes in Govinda's restaurant, for instance, in Delhi, there is a table lined up with stainless steel containers with 15 different preparations. And the devotees can serve themselves as much as they want, as much as they can eat. They can even come back. So it's a menu. There is this sabji and that sabji. There's some rice, and there's pakoras, and there's samosas, and there's chapatis, and this and that. So Bhagavad Gītā is not like a pick and choose menu. Bhagavad Gītā is actually progressive. It starts from the simple thing: you are not this body. We are not this body. Dehinusmin yatha dehe. So simple teaching. And it progressively, and it comes to the yoga chapter, the 6th chapter. So yoga is there, yes. Different yogas are explained. And then it goes further. And once we come to the 18th chapter, then there is confidential knowledge, most confidential knowledge. So it's not all the same level. It's progressively getting more confidential, and then we come to Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru. Become my devotee, always think of me, in this way you will come to me. And of course, Sarvadhamam Parityajya, surrender. All what you have heard from me, forget it. All these yoga practices, these dharmas, we could say, leave them all aside. They had their place. I explained it to you, Krishna says. They have their place for certain type of people. But if someone is serious, then he makes further progress from these yogas and yoga chapter, and go higher and higher and higher. And then, of course, supreme yoga is always remember Krishna and never forget him. Manmana Bhava Madbhakto. Always remember me. Twice in the Gita that verse, with slight difference. So, this is a more confidential part. And then Krishna says, of course, as we mentioned before, with the context of Bhakti Riksha program, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Whatever we surrender, whatever, and the chanting is a big one. The chanting is a main process. Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Vishnu Smaranam, of remembering her. Then we'll come to a stage in our progressive spiritual life where remembering Krishna becomes quite easy. It becomes, at the beginning it's very difficult to remember Krishna. Okay, we remember Krishna when we go to the temple. We may, and hopefully we do, remember Krishna when we chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra. We remember Krishna. But otherwise, there is so many things in this world which occupy our mind. But when we make further progress, what has been difficult to remember Krishna, it becomes very easy. It becomes actually difficult to forget Krishna. Krishna is always on our mind, even though we're engaging in so many seemingly material activities. That doesn't change. It's not one has to give up one's social and economic and family business altogether. No, nothing of that sort. All what one has to do is keep Krishna in mind all the time. remembering Krishna all the time. We can connect every activity we're doing in this material world. Whatever we do, we can connect with Krishna. Just like a mother thinks of her child. It's not the mother thinks of the child only when the child cries, only when the child is at home. When she goes out shopping, she doesn't think of her child. No, because there is love. There is a natural bond of love between mother and child. After all, the child has been in the womb of the mother for 9 months. How could there not be a bond? So we have to have such a bond with Krishna. For a mother, that bond comes easily, automatically. She cannot forget her little Lala or Lali. While she is shopping, while she is working, while she is in any situation, she will always remember her little Lala or Lali. So as a devotee who has progressed somewhat on the spiritual path, and that progression comes from regulated devotional service, from regularly chanting 1 round, 4, 8, 16, and also hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gītā, associating with devotees, taking Krishna Prasadam. All this helps us to remember Krishna. How can we forget Krishna? We prepare food for him. We offer the food to the deities, or otherwise. And then we partake of that food. Of course, our memory is so short. When we offer the food, and then it becomes prasadam, the mercy of the Lord, and then we serve it, and very often devotees forget this is Krishna prasadam, and they just take it as ordinary food. In the back of the mind, maybe, no, theoretically it's prasadam, but if someone is very conscious, that food is prasadam, he will not put his leftover on the plate into the bin. Impossible. It's prasadam, it's sacred food, none different from Krishna. So we will honor. We say we don't eat prasadam, we honor prasadam, we respect prasadam. Very different thing altogether. There's a very interesting, beautiful pastime. When Srila Prabhupada cooked an offering on his Guru Maharaj's Vyaspuja Day, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, he cooked all the preparations. And then he served all the preparations to the devotees. And they're starting to respect the prasadam. At one point, Srila Prabhupada left. There was still some prasadam in the pot. So the devotees, that prasadam was so charged, spiritually so potent, that they crawled on their legs to the middle of them, where all the containers, the pots were, and they took and served out that prasadam, and they took everything up till the last morsel. There was not a morsel of rice or anything else left in the pot. And they described it was, they have never eaten anything like that, ever. Because Srila Prabhupada, with his love for his spiritual master, that prasadam was so charged with spiritual potency. So that is prasadam. So back to the mother. She cannot forget the child. If we come to a certain level of our Krishna consciousness, we cannot forget Krishna. He's there, he's everywhere. Everything reminds us of Krishna. Like Lord Chaitanya, when he saw some body of water, he saw some river or something, immediately, Jamuna, Jamuna, Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Or you saw any little hill or anything like that. Immediately here, Jayagiri Govardhan, Jayagiri Govardhan. So that is Lord Chaitanya. So if we can also develop, not like Lord Chaitanya, we cannot imitate, we will never reach that kind of consciousness, but we can also remember Krishna when we see manifestations in this material world, when we everything happening to us in our day-to-day life, we will automatically remember Krishna. Manifestation of Krishna's energy, also Krishna. So material energy is also Krishna. It's a manifestation of his external energy. It's external, yes, but it's divine. Daiviyesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya. This divine energy of mine is difficult to overcome. So sometimes we wonder, why is Maya so strong? It pulls us down, even against our own will, like by some unseen force, like some magnet and the iron. Unseen, that attraction, but it is there. Of course, we have been attracted to this material sense enjoyment for many, many lifetimes. So naturally, these bad samskaras, these bad impressions in our citta consciousness, that is there, carrying over from life after life after life after life. But we can also produce and engage in good samskaras, Krishna samskaras, Krishna's impression, Krishna impressions. Every mantra we chant, that is a Krishna impression. Every morsel of prasadam we partake in, that's a Krishna impression. Every association with devotees on discussing or hearing Bhagavad Gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, that's a Krishna impression. All this accumulates and purifies the heart on the process of starting with Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, association of devotees, and Bhajana Kriya, of engaging in devotional service, primarily in chanting Hare Krishna, and Anartha Vritti, of cleansing our heart, our consciousness from all unwanted things. And further it goes. Srila Prabhupada has been asked, from starting to chant Hare Krishna, how long does it take to become fully purified? Very revealing answer. Srila Prabhupada said, he paused for a moment and then he said, about 40 years. We may be shocked. So long, 40 years. But that's nothing. We have been millions of years in this material world, in this material consciousness, with all these material attractions. 40 years it's a speedy process in comparison to millions of lifetimes. What is 40 years? Or as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, just give one lifetime to the service of Radha and Krishna. Don't be a miser. A miser is someone who has lots of money, but he doesn't want to even give 1 pound away of his accumulated wealth. He's a miser. He wants to keep it all, every penny. So we are misers if we have lived so many lifetimes of sense enjoyment. So many lifetimes. If we don't want to give just 1 lifetime, or if not 1 lifetime, then just 40 years, 40, 50 years, half a lifetime, 3/4 of a lifetime, to the service of the Lord. So, if we have this resolution, let me give this lifetime to devotional service, to the service of Krishna. Just this lifetime. I have already all sense enjoyment I had already. There's nothing new. It's all the same thing over and over again. All the sense attraction of the tongue, of the eyes, of the sound, touch. There's nothing new. I had it all in many, many, many lifetimes. So let's do something different. Let's get attraction for the devotional service of the Lord. That's very different. Recently someone expressed it very nicely. If we stop striving for material happiness, everybody is striving for material happiness. Everybody is trying to maximize his comfort and material happiness and to minimize his distress. All the time. All the time. And not only human beings, animals as well. So if we stop that striving for material happiness, then we can be really happy. But if we striving for material happiness, immediately distress is born. Immediately, because we live in a world of dualities. If we strive for material happiness, we'll have to take the other side of the coin, distress. It's not possible to be happy materially by sense gratification, by satisfying our senses. It's not possible. And if you really analyze it, have I ever been happy due to satisfying my material desires? Have I ever been happy? For a short moment, yes. For a short moment, if I eat that food, what I thought it will make me really, really happy, if I eat it, once it's down behind the tongue, the tongue is tasting, yes, that's so tasty, that's so beautiful, that's so wonderful. All my desires are fulfilled. So once it's behind the tongue, that enjoyment is already gone. And out of greediness, if we eat more than we should eat, then it's counterproductive. We have a stomach problem. So how long does it last? That food in the mouth. A minute, 2, 3, 5. We chew a lot, properly. 5 minutes. How long does any sense enjoyment last? A short moment. And then it's gone. But then comes the next desire, and the next, and the next, and we're running behind desires, I have to fulfill them. But none of these desires makes me truly happy, otherwise I wouldn't be running for the next. Oh, this time it will be better. This time it will work. Hope against hope. Oh, as Srila Prabhupada puts it, people of this material world, say, accepting the distress of this material world in the hope for happiness. That's a very profound statement. Then no sense gratification will bring distress. Even if it's just the distress that the sense gratification will not last. The food, the taste on the tongue, it will not last. 5 minutes, it's gone. So any sense gratification will not last, because it's material, and material energy is always changing, deteriorating. Time factor is here, everything is deteriorating, including our own bodies, everything, including the senses. The senses are also deteriorating. They're getting burned out. People don't believe that. People say, oh, this sense gratification I feel right now in a youthful body, it will last when I'm 100 years old. I will enjoy my senses in the same way. No, it won't. If you light a candle, will it always burn bright for 100 years? No, it will burn down everything. We drive a car, the tires will wear out. Our bodies are wearing out. Everything is wearing out. So sense gratification, our senses will also wear out. And in If we depends on the amount of use as well. If we use, or rather we should say misuse, the senses, then the more we misuse the senses, so quicker they will burn out. We're looking for more outrageous sense gratification, because the level of sense gratification we're experiencing now, that will not give the same pleasure tomorrow. So I have to increase the sense gratification, and then we're getting a degradation in society, that so many artificial ways of satisfying our senses are invented, and society will go down and down to basically to animal life. People will become just like animals. They want to gratify their senses right here and now with no restrictions. Unrestricted sense gratification. And then these desires will not leave us. At the time of death, we have so many material desires. What will happen? We have to come back, because these desires have to be fulfilled. For a devotee, it's a very different situation. He will gradually get purified. On another point, Srila Prabhupada also said, 50 years is more than enough to get perfect in Krishna consciousness. Means fully purified, means liberated stage. Brahma Buddha Prasanatma na Shodshati na Kangshati. Prasanatma, fully joyful. Everybody wants to be joyful, but they're trying in the wrong way on the material level. Joyfulness comes on the spiritual level. Then we become liberated platform, Brahma Buddha platform, fully joyful. Then we become really joyful, because by then we are liberated. Liberated from what? From the material modes of nature. Then ignorance and passion, even goodness, have no grip on us anymore, because these modes of nature producing so much suffering. So no more. We are beyond the modes of nature. That's a liberated platform. And then Amrita is gone. Then we can see who we really are. Self-realization. Going back to our verse today. Srila Prabhupada says, if one chants at the time of death the Hare Krishna mantra, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets. So that is guaranteed. One can remember Krishna at the time of death. And there are quite a few verses in this connection in Bhagavad Gītā. If one thinks of Krishna at the time of death, this very verse today is one of them. If one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. But here Srila Prabhupada makes more distinction. One certainly will reach the spiritual planets according to the mode of his practice. What does that mean? The mode of his practice. We can, it's our meditation. The mode of practice is our meditation. If our mode of practice is referential service to Krishna, in awe and reference, we're reaching the Vaikuntha planets. And it's absolutely wonderful. It's great, Vaikuntha planets. It's a great attainment, a great achievement, because we're reaching these spiritual planets or any of the innumerable Vaikuntha planets. No more birth. And of course, no more birth means no more death also. So we are eternal in our spiritual body. So, as Srila Prabhupada says in this word, according to the mode of his practice, we're getting a spiritual body. So what spiritual body are we getting in Vaikuntha, we're getting a body just like Lord Narayan. Bluish complexion, four-handed, lotus, conch, club and chakra in hand, ornamented helmets, armlets, garland, and so on. That's the mode of worship of awe and reference to Krishna, to Lord Narayan, then we're reaching the Vaikuntha planet. And it's not a small achievement that should not be denigrated in any way, because we're not coming back to this material world. We're living eternally with Lord Narayan. How wonderful is that? The darshan of the Lord every day, Lakshmi Narayan, Hare Krishna. That's one mode of worship. If one's attraction and mode of worship is Krishna playing with his friends and having pastimes with the gopis in Goloka, that's a different mode of worship. And even there can be different modes of worship. There can be a mode of worship in a role of a servant. There are many servants in Goloka. Many. And one can be in a friendship, in the mode of friendship. There are many millions and millions of sakas, cowherd boys, in Goloka. So that we can achieve also. Or if we want to be in the mode of parental affection, there are millions of elderly cowherd men and women who have parental affection for Krishna. So that we can also achieve. And if we have some madhurya, some intimate, we desire some intimate relation with Krishna, then that can be also achieved, like the gopis and Krishna. Intimacy, madhurya, rasa. These are all rasas, these are all modes of worship, modes of practice. That's what it means. The modes of practice in the different rasas. Or, as Srila Prabhupada explains first, the devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. Not the devotees of Lord Narayan that don't enter Goloka Vrindavan. Gop Kumar in Bhagavatamritam, Prihad Bhagavatamritam. He first of all travels to all the material planets, the higher planetary systems of Tapaloka, Jnanaloka, all these higher planets, even up to the level of Brahmaloka. And he takes the position of Lord Brahma, and so he crosses all the material spheres. And then he goes beyond. He crosses Viraja River. He crosses the layers of the material universe, Bhumya, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, and so on. And each layer is thicker than the previous one. He crosses through all of that. And then he enters Vaikuntha with Lord Narayan and the Vaikuntha bases, Vishnu Dutas are there. But he is not satisfied with attaining Vaikuntha, because that's not his mode of practice. What is Gopkumar's mode of practice? He's chanting the Gopal mantra. Oh, that already gives it away. He's chanting the Gopal mantra. The sixth of the 7 Gayatri mantras, which one gets at the time of a Brahminical initiation, Diksha, Brahman Diksha. Then he receives the 7 Gayatri mantras, and the sixth, the second last of the Gayatri mantra is a Gopal mantra, which glorifies Krishna as a cowherd boy. So he was chanting that. That mantra has been given to him by his guru. And he never stopped chanting that mantra. And that mantra brought him through the material sphere higher up to Vaikuntha, but because he desired to see his Lord as Gopal holding a flute, as a cowherd boy, because his mode of practice was in Sakyaras, was in friendship with Krishna. So Vaikuntha in reverential devotion couldn't satisfy him. And after Vaikuntha he went further, he went to Ayodhya Dham. And that's a darshan of Lord Ram and Hanuman. Hanuman took him by the hand. Come, come, and he brought him right in front of Lord Ram. And he was satisfied for some time. He thought, I have reached the goal of all my desires, of all my practice. But after some time, still he was not fully satisfied, because that was not his mode of practice, we could say. Mode of his want. He wanted to see Gopal. In Vaikuntha he got actually into some trouble, because he thought, finally I have reached my Lord. Not Narayan, finally. And he called out to him, oh Gopal, finally I have reached you. And so, Vaikuntha Basis, they admonished him. He said, what you... Gopal means a cowherd boy. You calling our Lord Narayan a cowherd boy? Who has affairs with cowherd girls? No. That you shouldn't do that. That's not appropriate for Vaikuntha. So he was frustrated. He, in his heart, he wanted to see and achieve and attain Krishna as a Sakka, as a cowherd boy. Narada Muni, who was also there, he could understand what was really in his heart. He took him aside and spoke to him confidentially. And he said, I know what you really desire, and I will help you. Why he took him aside? Because he didn't want the Vaikuntha Basis, the inhabitants of Vaikuntha in the Vishnu form, Svarupya Mukti. Right? That's one of the liberations. Svarupya Mukti, getting the same bodily features as the Lord. That's in Vaikuntha. Same bodily features as Lord Narayan. In fact, when he arrived in Vaikuntha, and he saw the first Vaikuntha Basis with 4 hands and bluish complexion and crown and all of that, just looking like Lord Narayan, he offered his obeisances and said, oh, my Lord, finally I have reached you. And the Vaikuntha Basis said, no, don't call us Lord. We are servants of the Lord. So he mistook the servants as the Lord, because they had very similar bodily features. So Narada Muni took him aside. Why? Because he didn't want the Vaikuntha Basis to hear him saying that there is a higher level, Goloka Vrindavan. Because the Vaikuntha Basis, Vishnu Dutas, the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, they thought Vaikuntha is the highest attainment. So he didn't want to disturb their mind. So he said to Gopkumar, actually, yes, Vaikuntha is absolutely great, but there is something higher than Vaikuntha, and I know your heart and your mode of practice and your yearning for Gopal. This desire cannot be satisfied in Vaikuntha. You have to go to Goloka. And he did so. In a moment's time, he reached Goloka via Ayodhya. He took Lord Ram's blessings. Lord Ram could understand. Oh, you yearning for my pastimes in Goloka. So Lord Ram said, yes, go, Gopkumar, go to Goloka. Ayodhya Dham is considered the gateway to Goloka. So if we moving up, we also will go through Ayodhya Dham and have the darshan of Lord Ramachandra, Hanuman, Sitaram, Lakshman. And then that gateway, then we come to Goloka. Now that is, and in Goloka, as already said, there are different modes of worship, of practice. And then these things come very naturally. It cannot be practiced in any artificial way. Naturally they're coming. Just like sometimes the devotee is asking, how can I come to the level of spontaneous loving devotion to Krishna? Good question. How can I come to that level? It will come in due course of time. Again, back to Srila Prabhupada. How long does it take to get fully purified, to come to the liberated stage? About 40 years. Or 50 years is more than enough. Same statements. So it will take some time. A good example. If you explain a 5-year-old child, a 5-year-old boy, you want to explain to him the attraction between male and female, between boy and girl. He cannot comprehend that. He may even see some older children embracing a boy, embracing a girl, and like he will find it disgusting. Or kissing. He'll find it disgusting. How can you do such a thing? He has no feelings for that. He has absolutely no idea. Because this attraction, sexual attraction, comes after puberty. So before puberty, it's immature. It's not possible to understand. So it comes in due course of time. When our devotional service and we become, Srila Prabhupada says, ripe and mature. We become ripe and mature in devotional service, then it will naturally come from within. It cannot be forced. We may have some knowledge. We may, by reading these books and that books, we have some knowledge of spontaneous devotional service, also called Raga Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti, same thing. So we can get some knowledge, but that is from the outside. That doesn't mean we're realizing on that level of, that's a very different story. That will come when we are ripe and mature in our devotion to Krishna, and the forerunner of that attraction to any of the modes in Goloka, from Dasya to Sakya to Vatsalya to Madhurya. So that attraction arises after attraction to chanting Hare Krishna. Just see how important that chanting Hare Krishna is. So important. We're developing some attachment to chanting Hare Krishna, as we said before. We cannot even forget Krishna, even if we tried. It's coming up in our mind all the time. And then we will chant continuously. So we might think to chant one round is a big achievement. Yes, it is. Coming from that material platform. Or to chant 16 rounds seems to be impossible. But on that level of that more mature level of bhakti, then it's just 24 hours chanting. Not necessarily on beats, not necessarily loud, but there is, as Chaivadam Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, there are 3 levels of chanting Hare Krishna. One is a loud chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. One next more internal level is the lip chanting. We're chanting Hare Krishna and the lips, upper lips, lower lip and the tongue are moving. It's very exact descriptions there in Chaivadam. It's like that. We hear it in our mind, Hare Krishna, and the lips are moving. So that is a little bit more difficult. And the next level of chanting is just chanting in the mind. That's more difficult. We must be really, really fixed in our chanting, because if we try, we are not mature and ripe in our devotional service, then we're trying to chant in the mind one mantra and the mind is all over the place. So then chanting 24 hours a day becomes the rule, whatever we do. Krishna's name is right next to us, means Krishna is not different from his name. So Krishna is right next to us, very close by. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, the best friend and well-wisher of all. That spontaneous devotional service is, Srila Prabhupada says, this is the actual achievement of bhakti. The actual achievement. So Viti Bhakti or Vaiti Bhakti, devotional service are called according to rules and regulations. That is a training to come to a spontaneous level of Krishna consciousness. But that, again, that spontaneity cannot artificially be evoked, just like a 5-year-old boy. That attraction to the opposite sex cannot be artificially evoked. It's impossible. In fact, there will be rather some repulsion, because a 5-year-old boy, girls, they're all friends. He doesn't see any difference between girls. Yes, externally, maybe longer hair and something like that, and a skirt and a dress. But actually, he has friends amongst boys and amongst girls, same thing. But once puberty comes in, then something wakes up within him. So once we come to the spiritual puberty of ripe and mature devotional service, then something else wakes up in our heart. And Srila Prabhupada said it's not something outside. We discover, Krishna will reveal to us what is our relationship in Goloka. Krishna will reveal within the heart. And then some lobha, spiritual greed is awakening. We want to hear more about Krishna's pastimes, and particular if we have attraction to any particular mode of practice, to Sakya Bhava or Vatsalya Bhava or Madhurya Bhava, then that will also wake up. And then out of nowhere some association, devotees who are already on that level accomplished, they will come into our life. And then our progress will become solidified and we go further and further and further. But in order to come to that stage, we must be liberated. If we are not liberated from the mode of nature, then it's just an imitation and is a disturbance for everyone. It's artificial. We must come to the liberated stage. Okay, here we stop. Are there any questions or comments? Ben, anything? We have just 5 minutes more. Bye to everyone. That was wonderful, thank you. Okay, I'm happy you appreciated that. We have gone a little bit higher up, and why not? At least we must know there is something like spontaneous loving devotion. If you want to study something, it's also in Srila Prabhupada's books. One just has to know where to look for it. It's not that Srila Prabhupada never talked about Raganuga Bhakti. No, not at all. Go to Adi Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and look up the confidential reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. So from text 25 onwards, well, by all means read the whole chapter of the confidential reasons of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. The official reason of spreading the Sankirtan movement, but there are other reasons, confidential reasons. Read that and you find Srila Prabhupada speaks quite openly in every purport, read that purport about Raga Bhakti, Raga Nuga Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. It's all there. That's an attainment, the crown attainment of our Krishna consciousness. And he goes on and on and on, and who knows how far it goes back. If we are on that track, then yes, we are very safe and progressing. And externally nothing changes. That's very important to say. Because sometimes devotees have that misconception. Once I'm practicing spontaneous devotional service, I forget about the principles, four regulative principles, chanting Hare Krishna. No, nothing changes externally. All stays the same. We follow the chanting of Hare Krishna, even more than 16 rounds, constant chanting. And we follow the principles as well, all of them. So nothing changes externally, but internally our motivation changes. The previous Vidhi Bhakti, our motivation was, we are motivated by fear. There's a good part of fear. If I don't chant, my rounds are breaking that. If I break the principle, something bad will happen to me. And there is a good portion of fear. That is Vaidhi Bhakti. We follow, of course, a Shastric injunction. We have to. That's a training ground. But on the level of spontaneous love for Krishna, that is not our motivated, even Shastra is not our motivating factor. We don't denigrate Shastra, of course not. But it's not because I'm doing this and following the principles because it's according to Shastra. That is not the prime motivation at all. Because by then we have developed some attachment, attraction, and even love for Krishna. It's just like the mother. A new mother may be inexperienced and may, before becoming mother, may read some books. Okay, so how to take care of a baby? How to, baby cries, okay, could be hungry, could have soiled his diapers, could be this, could be that and this. So it's a little handbook for mothers-to-be. But once the mother has her little lala or lali, there is a spontaneous, she doesn't need, when the baby cries, she doesn't need to go to the handbook anymore. She has love for the child. She will automatically do the right thing. That instinct is there. So with spontaneous devotion, it's just like that. Automatically, it will happen. Okay, we have to stop here. 8:30. Or if anybody has one question, we can answer if there is one question. Put your hand up, raise your hand, or whichever. If not, we stop here and hopefully see you on Saturday. Same login, come, but Saturday it's not as clear as here. There will be also a bit of a talk, and there will be lots of kirtan, and you will see our deities, Sri Nitai Sachi Sundar, and guests at Hare Krishna Center are Radha Govinda, small Radha Govinda deities, and Giri Raj Govardhan is there. Srila Prabhupada Murti is there, and beautiful, wonderful Vaishnavas are there dancing just like like cowherd boys, I would say. And we had a beautiful time at the 24-hour kirtan in Birmingham. Okay, thank you, Abai, for your wishes, well wishes and hearts sent to everyone. Yes, that's Abai. See you Saturday, if not next Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
Join the Bhakti podcast with deep insights into all matters spiritual. Like and subscribe to keep up to date with your inner self.